Good morning. My name is Mark Brunton. I'm the Operations Section Chief for Cal Fire Incident Management Team 3, and I'll be going over the operational briefing for August 19th. So starting in our in the west zone, in our Butte sector, everything is status quo. We're in a mop-up phase there, and that's been turned over to the Butte unit for the past number of days, and continuing patrol status. In our Westwood sector, which goes along the middle of the incident, Division Juliet, which we've been watching over the past number of days, continuing a mop-up phase, and that's looking very, very good. And that's closed the door for any westward extension of the fire into Tehama County. Moving over to the west shore of Lake Almanor, we started a repopulation of the west shore yesterday, and that is ongoing. We have a lot of resources within that area that are answering calls for service as people start to repopulate those areas. On the east shore, the peninsula, Westwood and Hamilton Branch are all looking very good. We've had resources in there over a number of days, have not had any sort of fires or spot fires or anything of that nature within those communities, and that's been looking very solid and very good. To the south, working with our partners in the East Zone, which is the Interagency Incident Management Team 1, they've continued to strengthen lines and mop up of the lines near Dyer Mountain, and that effectively will close the door from any sort of fire incursion from the south into that community. To the north, Highway 36 is our division line between the Lassen sector and the Westwood sector. On 36, we had a burn operation over the past 24 hours. That's been completed and tied in. There's a large island of fuels there that burned off yesterday afternoon. That consumed rather well. We did watch that, monitor that closely so that we didn't have any sort of spotting or fires coming out of that, and we did not, so that worked very well for us. Yesterday, in the Duffy Group continued work, and with the fire line mitigating in some areas but increasing in others near and pushing Highway 36, we instituted a firing operation. That firing operation went from drop point 276 to the Willard Creek area. It's continuing today to finish that line up. Then it will go today from 276 back down to a line that crosses a meadow just east of the community of Westwood. So there will be some activity along 36 and moving down into a very large meadow and tying into the main fire line and our control line coming out of Westwood. And what that will do is button up that entire area from any spread of fire to the north, with the expected winds coming Saturday that could push the fire in this direction. So again, that just buttoning up that little piece of line. And then we were able to go direct and continue our line construction around this tip of this red part of the incursion of fire that will protect and cut off any spread towards Susanville. A lot of lines that we reopened up there were from the hog fire and other fire scars that have been through the Willard fire and such. So we're utilizing that to our advantage to protect Susanville. Once we have that set in play, then we're going to end up revisiting any of the evacuation warnings within that area, but that's yet to come. Continuing east, we've been doing a lot of work along Wildcat Ridge, and that's been in play. We've been able to get direct and put in secondary lines on this part of the fire, and we're moving now a lot of our resources from Wildcat Ridge back over to Janesville proper. So we have Janesville itself. The community has not had a huge impact from the fire. It's just to the south of that. The other night when that did occur, there were a few structures lost. We have our damage inspection teams continuing to inspect that. A lot of those were outbuildings. However, there were a few structures that were damaged or destroyed. So we do have a good line, and we're continuing that shaded fuel break and that line along the top of the escarpment. That is continuing to be done today with the resource we're moving off of Wildcat. And then we are continuing our work on the direct fire that did spot across and cross 395 and is currently continuing to parallel 395 slowly towards Milford. What we were able to do is, and again, working with our partners in the East Zone, we were able to punch line from basically drop point 282 down, paralleling the Janesville grade down to Highway 395. And that's a very large dozer line we have in place. We're going to have put what we call plummet, which means putting hose lay and hose line through that and mop up any of the hot spots. And that's going to help create a buffer or barrier from any fire spreading back towards the community of Janesville. The fire is burning up on the escarpment. Again, our control lines we're going to be placing on the top of the escarpment are going to assist us in keeping the fire out of Janesville. And then along the 395 corridor, we are continuing to work and find areas of opportunity that we can move it around the structures. There have been very few structures lost. We've been able to protect a vast majority of those structures. And as the fire moves along the escarpment, it's basically paralleling versus doing the other night. What it did was a down escarpment push, which we do see a little bit of that, but our winds that we were seeing the past few days and we're expecting that today is just going to continue to parallel, which puts it in a good alignment for our operation and our tactics that we're employing here. It is burning towards Milford, but we have good lines in place there. We have resources, we've surged into that, and with the fuels and the topography we're dealing with, it's very favorable for our tactics that we're going to be employing. Now moving north of 36 into our Lassen sector. So a lot of activity. This came from a lightning strike a few days ago in that area, the Morgan dip area near Morgan and Mineral and Mill Creek. So we've had a lot of fire activity. A couple days ago, did a firing operation along Highway 89 down to 36. All the Highway 89 is holding for us. That's very good. We do not want any westward spread of the fire. That's been our number one priority. And so we did have some fire that spotted, slopped over, making a few runs on the Doe Ridge and into the south. So we've shifted a lot of resources there, continue to put direct line in and a contingency line, and that's just going to be an ongoing fight there in our Division Lima area. So that's a priority for us today, and we're shifting a lot of resources over to that area. Most of that has to be the heavy equipment such as dozers and such. And then when we find good opportunities to utilize our engine companies, we're doing that there. So that's a huge priority. We're watching that closely and making some progress there. Moving into the park, fire has spread through parts of the park, but the park highway, we're maintaining our control line there, and that's keeping it to where we want it to be. We're taking other portions as we come from outside the park into the park boundaries with some of our dozer lines going up to the park boundary, and then from there using hand line to construct some good line down to some of the dry lake beds and so forth to keep the fire from spreading further to the north. We have not had any impact really into Shasta County yet, so our plan within the park is continuing to work and doing well. Moving over now, we have Division Quebec. A good line's been established there, and we're waiting for an opportunity where we'll end up doing a burn operation there to close that part of the door. Moving into Romeo and Tango, those are looking really good. However, we've been seeing a lot of spotting activity. Again, these fuels are very dry, very receptive, and it doesn't take much. So our folks there are very vigilant, and as they're continuing to mop up, we have resources available that we're going after the spot fires, keeping them small, putting them out, ringing them with control lines. And so, but it is kind of a constant battle every day with that, but nothing of significance. Coming down to uniform, we've got that all, like I said, tied in with the Highway 36 burn, and we're just continuing to mop up on the eastern part of that division. The air is, with the weather, it's cleared up pretty good for us, the air. We haven't seen that in a number of days. And with that clear air, double-edged sword, it does increase the fire behavior and activity. However, it allows us to fly our aircraft, which we have not been able to do to such an extent that we've been able to do yesterday. We finally got to fly fixed-wing aircraft all day long. We've been able to fly all of our rotor wing all day long, and we've prioritized the use of those aircraft based on our priorities of the fire. With all the fires going on throughout the state, we've had to share the fixed-wing aircraft. So what little we've been able to get, we've put it to great use, and that's been pretty much in the Janesville area. We felt that was the best application of that tool because of the fuels, because of the overall plan. And so we made good use of it yesterday with the fixed wing. Now we're going to divert that fixed wing to this location. That'll help strengthen our lines. And then, but we will continue to use our rotor aircraft, our helicopters in the Janesville area, as well as supporting our firing operation. We have a number of resources. However, we've had to share our resources for the other fires that are going throughout the state. And so we are taking our resources that we do have and flexing the them throughout the fire, moving them to the areas of priority, and best utilizing them and maximizing our resources that we have available to us to meet our priorities and accomplish the mission. Thank you.